obviously I'm Celia Gaze, the Managing Director, founder of the Wellbeing Farm. So if I have the next slide, please. Yeah, so just, I mean, this looks very big, but just to sort of like, what on earth am I here and why am I here, rather? The point is, we're a very sustainable green venue, hospitality venue. The big blue thing in the middle is a website dedicated to the 17 sustainability goals and what we're doing towards reaching those. And then we've achieved the Green Tourism standard for green business events, which is an independently accredited standard. We are featured a lot on Green Union, which is weddings and events. We are currently working, which is why I've kind of got to know you all, on the ISO 14001 framework. And we're currently going through that process. And then we are, at the moment, I'm going through my B Corp accreditation process. And I've got all of the points scored in there, and I'm literally just waiting now for the finalisation of that. And I'll talk about that afterwards if people don't quite know what B Corp is and what have you. So if we have the next slide, please. So just using this slide today is really, I'm just applying this slide on how hospitality and how a hospitality business can become more sustainable. Hospitality in its whole are very much, I mean, the amount of waste that goes on in hospitality in general, through food waste, through kind of, you know, single-use plastic, through everything. There's a lot of scope for the whole of the hospitality industry to become a lot more sustainable. So I'm going to really talk about kind of like production element. I'm going to talk about the venue design and the things that we've done to be more sustainable business. I'll then talk about the sort of the purchasing and how the way we operate, and we are a farm, and the whole of kind of what, you know, where we get the suppliers from, etc. And then I'm going to talk about the actual sort of delivery of events and for the processing side of things, and the consumption, on how we also have an agreement with guests even, and suppliers to the farm, and how kind of they, you know, our methods of working with them. And then obviously I can't not mention the whole waste thing, because there's a massive of scope for improvements in hospitality businesses around these areas. So that's kind of giving you a little bit of an overview. So if we can have the next slide, please. So just in case those of you who've never been or heard of the Wellbeing Farm, we have been on quite a journey. It started in 2011, so, you know, 10 years ago. I had the farm looking like this. This was my farm, it was my partner's farm, and basically I had just left the NHS, experienced burnout, and wanted to just do something else with my life. At the time, wellbeing was just in its just being talked about in the NHS, and they had these 5 ways to wellbeing, and I thought, could I apply those to a business? And I set about on this huge journey of transforming the farm. So kind of that was my starting point in 2011. And so, as you can see, if you can look at the next slide, please. The farm now is this building. So I've kind of given you an idea of what we did with the whole of the farm in terms of the transformation of it. And I had a real sort of passion for sustainability and for doing that right from the outset. So what we've tried to do, because of the planning permission, is preserve the original footprint of the farm, but we've tried to adapt all the facilities. And so nowadays we're very much a wedding venue and party venue at the weekends, but we also have Wellbeing Corporate, which is our corporate events offer and facilities during the week. So basically the brick barn, the brick building, on the left hand side now are our training facilities and meeting rooms. The middle of the house bit is the farmhouse where people can stay, and at the end bit, the very sort of dilapidated barn at the end, the big barn is now our is our wedding, is the wedding barn, which houses 300 people. So it's quite a sizable kind of facility. If we have the next slide, please. And the big thing we are known for is, of course, the bow tie wearing llamas. So I could not have a presentation without putting a picture of the bow tie wearing llamas in there. So if we start off with the main, so the next slide, please. So really looking at the whole design of the facility itself. When we're not on mains gas or anything like that. So obviously we are reduced to using electricity, or if we wanted to use colour gas, but we chose electricity. We are 800 feet above sea level. So the use of I mean, I looked at every type of, you know, sort of alternative heating sources, etc. But the main thing is, because of our location and height above sea level, wind was very, very, you know, it's always sort of, there's always a breeze, never not. The wind, so we installed a 20 kilowatt wind turbine to power the entire facility, and that does very, very well. And so, you know, the whole of the farm is powered by wind. We did get planning permission for the panels, you know, but we decided to go with the wind route because it for more aesthetic reasons, really. But the whole thing is, the whole of the building has been rebuilt using sustainable building materials. We recycle everything, has been put in from reclamation yards. I've hardly bought anything new in any of the fixtures and the fittings within the farm. We have our own water treatment plant, which basically treats all of the wastewater, and it goes back into the water stream. And also, when it comes to the actual materials that we've used, for example, on the right-hand side of the slide, you can see there our events barn. That's the big barn that houses 300 people. But the ceilings are made out of actual parachutes. They're ex-army parachutes, 30 meters in circumference, and 3 of those line the ceiling with LED fairy lights, which provide literally the kind of lighting effects for this. And all the walls are the original walls that would have been used when the building was a horse arena. Prior to that, it was a cattle shed. So it's very much in keeping with trying to keep the sort of, you know, if you go inside the original stable areas have been converted into horses and converted into toilets rather, and the kitchens with several stables being knocked down and joined. But it's very much in keeping with the original ethos of the farm kind of facility. If I can have the next slide, please. Oh, so in looking at the whole cycle that I talked about before, the purchasing and the use of suppliers and everything is a really key element within hospitality. And we try and keep our purchasing as local as possible. The picture on the left-hand side is of our family business, Whitehead's Butchers, which has been going and trading for over 136 years. It's a real kind of figure point in the village of Edgeworth, and basically all the meat from there goes into the wedding venue, which has helped that business kind of significantly. When you have, I mean, I think we're on task to do well over 100 weddings this year. The seasonality is a big factor in everything we do. And for example, we always say, for example, chef's choice of seasonal vegetables to make sure we get the freshest and the most quality seasonality in the food we have. The picture on the top right of the sheep are the actual sheep on the farm. So we rear all our own sheep on there. So it still retains elements of a working farm, but there's a lot of we do a lot of work supporting other farmers in our purchasing, and everything we do is all around those sorts of kind of criteria. Can I have the next slide, please? On this one, the whole of the delivery and incorporating sustainability into absolutely everything we do in the business. So on the left hand side are our team values, and I won't, obviously you're not going to be able to see that, but under the passionate element of that, sustainability is a big feature. The values go right through from recruitment right through to appraisal, and every member of staff has to do a certain amount of their, Sustainability forms part of the induction, right through to the training, through to the appraisals, through to the delivery of events. And its forms is not just a kind of tick box exercise. The sustainability is really part of the culture of our business. We try where possible to develop green weddings and events packages. We're attracting a lot of couples who really are mindful of the waste that is incurred in weddings and the use of kind of disposable items for weddings. So we do our utmost to try and limit that. On the picture on the right hand side is our prop shed, where inside that we have a very large shed literally devoted to recycled items from weddings. So instead of couples coming and purchasing brand new items for their wedding and only using them once and throwing them away, we have this prop shed that's in constant use, so the couples just constantly reuse the items in the prop shed, and it just really helps with reducing waste. And we do find that's a massive attraction. We are tending to attract an awful lot of couples and companies who are really obviously embracing wellbeing. It's brilliant for us that, you know, obviously we've suffered like any hospitality business during COVID, but wellbeing is a massive output of the whole COVID, and we've got the Wellbeing Farm. So we are finding that this is a really important feature for couples and companies who are wanting to book the farm. Now, going on to the Sustainable Development Goals, those Sustainable Development Goals for us were a real key part of kind of our culture and the way we do things. We've looked at every single one of the 17 areas, and I'll just sort of highlight some of them of where we're going. So, for example, in the no poverty, we've twinned all our toilets through the toilet twinning process with all different types of toilets all over the world. We pay a living wage to all our staff. We only hire local people, and we have very good relationships with universities and colleges around you know, really the employment of young people within the business. For the Zero Hunger, we do a lot of work with food waste, which I'll talk about afterwards. We very much, any leftover food is given to the homeless, and we work with a company called ReFood in converting any leftover waste food into fertilizer. The wellbeing side, the third one, good health and wellbeing. Obviously, wellbeing is just run through the entire business. It was based on the 5 ways of wellbeing. During lockdown, I co-created with other people Wellbeing Lancashire, and we're on a mission to raise wellbeing to the highest levels in Lancashire. And we also now have Wellbeing Corporate. So kind of really the wellbeing element is a real critical part of the whole offer. Going through to the education element of the Sustainable Development Goals, I'm an enterprise advisor with Blackburn College, so we work very closely with that college in the recruitment and partnership with young people, and we also have partnered with the local schools in terms of future recruitment of sort of 16-year-olds, 18-year-olds coming through for future hospitality roles. In terms of the gender inequality, we are a female-led business. We're a disability-confident employer, and we do an awful lot of same-sex weddings, which is, you know, kind of something which we're known for. On the clean water and sanitation, we obviously have our own water treatment plant, but we don't serve bottled water full stop. We just have a kind of water reserve on the bar, which people just help themselves to. Water butts throughout the farm, and we have banned the use of non-bleach cleaning products in the farm because of the water treatment plant. On some of the other elements, we have the wind turbine, which gives that affordable, you know, obviously the clean energy element. We do a lot of work with the local economy on sort of supporting local economic growth. And the venue really has grown to be a really key part of the local community. The amount of hospitality accommodation that has sprung up at the back of the weddings of the farm, when you have kind of 70 to 120 people coming 4 times a week and all needing accommodation, all needing taxis, all needing to use the local pubs and the facilities. It's actually a really good kind of generator of tourism and everything to the local area of Edgeworth. On the industry, innovation and infrastructure, we are part of the Good Business Charter. And we've won quite a lot of awards for the work that we've done. And then just some of the other things, we obviously really into circular economy. We worked with Catherine Wheatman, who's the author of this Circular Economy Handbook, to work on some of the things that we do there. And we've already pledged for the net zero goals. Finally, life below water. I've talked about the non-bleach, working that, but sustainable fish sourcing is a really big thing. We obviously, with working and supporting the land, we all of the sheep that we have, well, obviously we are strong advocates of free range farming. We work with DEFRA on land management. We are a working farm, and we produce our own haylage for the animals. So the point, and then sort of the final one, partnerships are, obviously we've talked about the circular economy. B Corp, I'm very, very passionate about becoming that, because from the work I've done on the B Corp, it almost incorporates all of the sustainable development goals, but just makes it up to that next phase. And for me, I see it as a very, very exciting concept. And certainly the staff, by understanding the B Corp concept, working with the staff on really embedding rewards for the staff, on the more sustainable they are, the more rewards, you know, it's embraced the whole of our culture. So that's kind of some of the work that we're doing towards the sustainable development goals. If I could have the next slide, please. On the consumption, you know, it's really working with, you know, it's not only us that do our bit, we also try and get the guests to understand why we're doing what we're doing, and also our suppliers. For example, we've banned, I mean, like the many places, we've banned single-use plastic long ago, but we also, you know, we encourage, like, for example, the straws we use support the We Love Manchester charity. We only use polycarbonate glassware, and the reason for that is because we're on a farm, people take the drinks everywhere, that it's better for us. We have glasses for actual the wedding, you know, feast, and you can't do a toast with a polycarbonate glass. It's not got quite the right ringtone, but the point is it's a good solution. Clear plastic bags form a really key point of our whole operations, because I personally look at the waste, I see what they're throwing out. We have bins all around the farm, and we actually do not have any general waste bins. We have bins for waste food, and we have bins for recycling, but there are no general waste bins. So everything is either recycled or waste food, basically. We're working at the moment with the Guardians of Grub scheme, which is a food waste reduction scheme, and training all of the staff around the food waste, because I get annoyed about the amount of food waste, like any hospitality area. And obviously I'm looking forward to the visit by the Green Rose for our ISO 14001 and doing all the work towards that. We've been actively working on that for the last sort of 6 months or so. And I've got the next slide, please. So obviously just completing the cycle, waste is a massive thing. We have these sorts of posters all over the place, really encouraging the staff all around recycling. I'm actually really good because as a result of the work and coming to the farm, all of the staff, and remember, a lot of our staff start at 16 years old, they all go home and say to their parents, kind of, where's our recycling? Why are we not doing it? You're not allowed to throw things in the bin. And hopefully that has a bit of a knock-on effect for their kind of home life and families. So these bins are common right throughout. These are the bins, for example, at the bottom from the kitchen. So they have literally in the kitchen, there is a food waste bin and a recycling bin, and that is it. There's no kind of middle ground. You're not allowed to throw anything away. And every week, these big lorries come called ReFood, and they take away the food waste. So it's put in special bins, we put it in special bins, and that food is taken away and turned into fertilizer. So I just feel better that food isn't just kind of thrown away, it does serve another purpose, and that's for that one. And just looking forward to cover the next slide, please. The future of where we're now heading. Obviously, the B Corp is a big thing of mine. I'm hoping that we will get our B Corp towards the end of the year. I've done the accreditation process. We've scored way above the 80 points, which is required to reach the B Corp status. So I'm just finalising the submission of that now. Obviously the work, you know, when you start on this journey, it just becomes obsessive. You're constantly looking at ways to improve your sustainability. We are constantly looking at kind of what else could we do? What else do we do? And I love it, that the fact that the staff are so kind of passionate about this. I myself kind of head up this work, but I also have a member of staff who is our sustainability champion as well, and that's the person who kind of does the electricity and water monitoring, monitors the waste, things like that. And I think, you know, constantly looking for that, what else we can do. Very excited about the circular economy work, and, you know, that constant source of and sense of improvement that you can do once you start on this sort of sustainability journey. And I just feel like that so many other hospitality businesses could do so much more with their food waste, with the products that they use, with the whole of the supplying. And I do think there's a massive opportunity there to work with hospitality for them to do more. If we could have the last slide. And I think kind of this sums up really what my take on all of this, that, you know, we're only a small venue comparison, a small hospitality venue. And for me, it's almost like everybody doing their bit. You know, we're just an example of what a small hospitality business could be doing. But if everybody did some things towards those sustainability goals, everyone could pick some of those goals and start working on them. And if everybody did their part and did their bit, hopefully all of us together would kind of go to improve sustainability in general. And that's kind of my take on it, really. And I almost feel it's almost like we've started on that Green Business Award scheme. We've gone over to the, you know, working on the ISO 14001, which has then led into Sustainable Development Goals, which then leads into B Corp. And I really have a passion that most businesses in the future will be B Corp. And I just think that's just such an amazing thing that will happen for the future. So on the final slide, sorry, next slide, please. They're my contact details of all of the work that we've done, and obviously we have got the 3 different businesses, and our dedicated carbon pledge website I've listed there, along with my own website, because yeah, it's a bit of a plug for my book there. So there we go. So is that all right?
Celia, that is fantastic. I love your passion. I really do.
Thank you.
I really do. And I love the alarms as well. We've got some info polls that before we go to questions that you've asked us. So there's a few people on. So if anyone wants to, I don't know if they know the answers, but I'm just going to answer as well. I don't know if I can answer, actually. Host and I can't vote. So
yeah, we're not allowed to vote.
Oh, we'll let some others do it. But what we do is we get them, and then we'll feed them back to you anyway.
Of course.
Can everyone, the attendees, can you, if not, do the next one? First time we've done this info poll thing, so we're not sure if it's going to work.
Oh, okay, well, never mind. It's worth a bit of audience participation and all that.
All right, well, I've got. There's a question already through, but before I ask that one, I'm dying to know the answer to this question.
Yeah.
Your prop shed.
Yeah.
Right? How many brides left their old wedding dress? Someone else to use.
No, we've actually never had a wedding dress. Hopefully they do tend to leave in the dress, I'll be honest, unless they stay overnight. But no, but it's amazing how many, what started off as quite a small kind of concept has developed and grown and grown. We've now got into 3 sheds worth, because the amount of people who post their wedding go, actually, could you make use of this? And I love it. We've got like a Facebook group where all the couples communicate with each other. And I love the fact that they're always sharing kind of their props and going, could anyone make use of this for their wedding? And, you know, and nobody pays for it. It's kind of a lovely kind of almost like partnership between all of the couples, none of whom have ever met, to do that, you know. So
I just wondered if anyone was leaving, but I'll just for next month. That was all. Saves taking it home. We do have a question, and it's from I'll move that across from Eugene. What is your carbon footprint? I probably know this if I could go into the archives and dig out the carbon footprint we've done for you, but I don't know offhand.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, I'm gonna. That's the work I'm doing with the IS.
That's what we're doing, aren't we? I know. So we're getting a more. We done one a couple of years ago, I think, where it was a starting point. But this is a bit more detail what we're doing now, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's just that I've just gone a lot more. Whereas at the time when I did it years ago, it was a tick box exercise. What we were doing, we hadn't done a lot of work with the team and the staff and things, and certainly on the values. So I think part of it is not. It's not just about carbon footprint around kind of the buildings and the lighting and the water and stuff. There's a massive part of culturally that if your team and everything don't buy into this, you can have as much greener business as you can, but if you're still generating loads of waste, etc., then and using loads of water, then it's kind of like, do you see what I mean? You're only doing half the picture.
And your B Corp work, I think, is going to be, that will be a real badge for you to get that, because I don't think there ain't many hospitality businesses, I think, in the UK that have actually got that. And I know it's hard work to get it. I know it's very hard work to get it. And there's a lot of questions that you've got to. Well, it's not just a tick box. You've got to prove that you actually demonstrate and deliver it. So it's not saying we do it. You've actually got to prove you do it. So,
the first question, the first assessment, it took me 4 hours, and I scored. And they say that the average business in its first attempt at B Corp scores 30, and you have to get 80 points to be even considered a B Corp. So now I did the first attempt and I got 68. So now I've spent the last 2 months doing all of extra stuff. So when I do it again, I am expected to be in like the 90s. So I'm really excited about that.
That's good. No, that is really good.
Yeah.
As I say, obviously, under current restrictions, a bit awkward, but if anyone is passing, I do suggest they pop in and see there, even just to say hello to the llamas, because you've got to have the llamas on everything, I know.
Llamas are, well, we're just known as the place with the llamas.
It is very nice. Edgeworth is a very nice village. I know it quite very well. Some lovely walks in the lovely countryside. You are on the West Pennine Moors, and if that's right, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just it is officially in Blackburn with Darwin, so it's just off the Junction 5, the M65.
Yeah, but it's a nice route there. It's a lovely venue place, and you can understand why so many people want to get married there. And what you've done to that barn, because I've seen the pictures before, that looks amazing. So yeah.
Oh, thank you.
I don't think there's any more questions. So I thank you again for your time. We're about to go for a short break, and then we've got our chief exec on just after the break, giving a peer-to-peer. But Celia, thank you very much for your time. Enjoy your stay in North Yorkshire. I think that's where you said you were. Yes. And we will see you when we see you next.